Before I show you the build steps, I'd like to take a few minutes to explain the approach to the insulation of the garden office. I'm no expert in the complete building science behind this, but hopefully if you're interested, this will give you a starting point and you can go and explore further. Like most things in a building, the insulation is not one thing, but is actually a system that comes together to give something that is bigger than the sum of its parts. What we want in our building is a consistent temperature inside, and the enemies of this are heat leaking in or out of the walls, and also air from outside the building replacing air inside. In much the same way as we dress for harsh weather in layers, I've decided on a layered approach to the insulation of the garden office that I'm building. Working from the outside in, under the cladding we have a breather membrane. This keeps any water that gets behind the cladding out, but the material is permeable to water vapour, so allows any moisture that does get into the wall to escape outside. This stops mould and rot. The outer membrane I have used is also reflective to reduce the heating effect of the sun in the summer. In the middle we have the insulation. For the walls I used a 2x6 framing which allows for 140mm of insulation to be put in place. This insulation reduces how much heat can get through the wall itself. Finally, on the inside we have another membrane. This is called an air and vapour control layer. It's different from the outside membrane. This internal membrane stops air moving out of the building through the walls and limits the ability of moisture to get into the walls as well. It's also reflective to help improve the performance of the insulation and lower how much heat gets actually to the insulation itself. With good sealing of the building by taping around the doors and windows, we can minimise cold air getting into the building in the winter and replacing the hot air that we've paid to heat, and also stops the cooler air inside, which we have in the summer, getting replaced by hot air from the heat of the day. However, for comfort and health we still need fresh air in the building, so I'll need to install a ventilation system with a heat exchanger to maintain a flow of fresh air. Now I'll show you how I implemented this insulation scheme in the garden office itself. With the insulation installed, we can now finally get the last bits of the vapour barrier in place. So this is this air guard reflex. So it's a fairly substantial material, reflective, so it'll keep heat in the winter. The outside being reflective as well will keep the heat from the sun out. So we've got this rock wool in, so it's 140mm thickness of rock wool, so that fills up the stud framing quite nicely, and then we're just attaching it with double-sided tape initially. So I've gone around and put that against each of the studs just to hold it in place. Then we will have the tape between the joints, making sure we've got a good overlap. This will have battens that go over the top of this along each of the studs, which we fix the plasterboard to, and that will leave a 25mm gap, so we can use that as a service area, and you can fish wires down it as you need. I've begun fixing some of the pipes into the ceiling area for that, so that'll be the extraction, that'll be in the toilet, and there'll also be an extraction point in the storage area itself, and then we'll run a pipe through into the main office area for the inlets as well, with the fan unit going in the kind of shed storage area. Came in this morning and found this. I guess I didn't use enough double-sided tape, so I'll have to stick it up again. So around the door is the seal now, and there'll be buttons on this face here, so when the plasterboard goes on that will be covered up, and behind that structure, so this means we get a good seal around the door to ensure we minimise any airflow.
For the ventilation system, where it is in the joist void, we have sealed around the piping with flex tape to maintain the integrity of the air and vapour barrier layer. After the first electrical fix, the final membrane and battens were put in place. Now the inside of the building is ready for plasterboarding.